If you've been trying to learn the piano, you've been playing for at least 6 months, and you do not know all of your scales, then you are behind. You are not practicing the correct stuff. Okay, yes, it's okay to learn chords and everything like that and learn songs as fast as possible. But if you don't know scales, then you're kind of, I think, learning out of order in some way, right? You're not putting the right practice on the foundation of everything. You got to think about piano as a language. When you first learn a new language, you learn the alphabet first. The alphabet is going to let you know how the words in that language is even comes together, right? So knowing what notes are on the piano, where is your C? Where is your A? Where is your D flat? Where is G? Where is A flat? Know each note first, right? Per octave. Then learn the scale. What notes belong to each key? How many flats or sharps are in each key? That is important because everything from there is built off of that. It's built off of your scales. Once you learn the alphabet in a new language, you then learn the words. Words on the piano is chords. Chords are words, okay? Because in a new language, you can learn words, but if you don't know how to portray the word, if you know how to put them in a sentence to allow someone to understand what you're speaking about, then it's irrelevant, right? Once you learn chords in each key, then you learn chord progressions, and that's how you create music. And music is where you start to speak and portray emotion, right? That's when it becomes a language that you're speaking with. But you can learn a bunch of chords, but if you know how to put them in some type of orderly fashion or make it sound like music, then you just learn a bunch of random words, right? But that's where chord progressions come in, and music theory, right? And rhythm. That's where you can start speaking and creating emotion, right? But you have to start by learning your scales. And I'm not talking about like crazy scales like blues scale, the Dorian and the modes and the pentatonic. I'm not talking about none of that stuff. I'm talking about the basic major scale. Once you learn the major scale, you also learn the minor scale automatically because the major scale and the minor scale are the same. You're just starting on a different note in that key. For instance, C. Right? The relative minor of C is A minor. A minor and C share the same notes. You're just starting on A. You're doing the same thing you did from C to C that you do from A to A, and it's the same notes. Same thing for D flat, right? First you gotta know the D flat scale, right? Once you know the D flat scale, you automatically learn the relative minor of D flat, which is B flat minor, because they share the same note. You're just starting on B flat. Right? Same with, say, A. Right? The relative minor of A is G flat or F sharp. It's the same notes, just starting on F sharp instead. That's why it's so important to learn your major scales. And it's okay if you mess up, right? At the beginning, you go mess up for a while. It takes a long time to learn a new language. It takes years. I only got over 2 years. I'm still trying to perfect how to play them. I know all my scales. I just now need to get used to playing them without error, right? But my point is, you have to take the time at the beginning of your learning journey to get your scales down, right? Because once you learn your scales, then now you learn your chords in each key. You know that the 1 is a major, you know the 2 is a minor, you know the 3 is a minor, you know 4 is major, 5 is major, right? But that's the dominant. You know 6 is a minor, right? And you know 7 is a half diminished, right? So, and that's the same for every key. But if you don't know your scales, then you don't know what note to hit for each of those chords, because now you can start getting confused, right? But take the time at the beginning to learn all your scales. Scales will make chords easier. Chords will make chord progressions easier. Once you know your chord progressions and your chords, then it's easy now to add a little rhythm to it. All right, and now you're speaking. So take the time. Take the time. Hope this helps somebody.